Hello, everyone. Dr. Ames here. What I'd like to talk about this time is some different ways that we can structure ourselves as an organization, or really different types of organizations. So we can have line organizations, line and staff organizations, matrix style, and organizations that are really about cross-functional self-managed teams. Well, line organizations, very much on authority, very clear-cut lines of responsibility. Communication runs from top to bottom. You do have unity of command in a way, because in the sense that you report to anyone of a higher rank. You would have a job, of course, a specialty, but at any point in time, considering on the circumstances, you really would have to take orders from someone of higher authority. So you're not necessarily going to have a departmentalization like you would in most organizations. Line organizations don't necessarily have those sorts of things. All of those sorts of things that you need to handle the human part, keeping track of things and records, are all done at company levels and so forth, and that's somebody's job in the company. So line managers, who are really the non-commissioned officers and the officers, you could look at it like the non-commissioned officers are frontline managers, and the middle managers are the junior officers and so forth, and the colonels and things like that are VPs, and the generals are the presidents and CEOs. So there are some comparisons we could make to the way other organizations are set up. But just like in any organization, the line managers, those who are really having the most people reporting to them and so forth, the NCOs, the non-commissioned officers, the sergeants and so forth, they issue orders, they make sure things get done that are supposed to be done, and they follow orders themselves, and they facilitate change when it's needed. Um, Employees, part of the chain of command, are responsible for achieving goals. Everyone in a line organization knows their place. What's a little bit different in a line and staff organization, you know that you're part of achieving the goals, just like in the other type, but in this case, you're responsible for putting forth your efforts in a very specialized way, depending on the department you're in. So line personnel have the authority to make policy decisions. And these people, because they're in the chain of command, have that formal authority given to them by their job position. So we would have to say that line personnel are probably some type of first line manager. Over here with staff personnel, they might be first line managers, they might just be staff support. But they do advise and they assist the line personnel in getting things accomplished. You can't get any work done without your personnel staff. So line personnel should be thought of more or less as management, and staff personnel are the people who get the work done. And of course, this is how we would organize ourselves, beginning with some functional departments. Really, line and staff organizations are the most common type of organizations, and that's what we see out there in the for-profit sector. We have it clearly drawn who has authority, and authority, of course, is vested in any given job. So we do have that division of line personnel versus staff, but it is quite different than a straight line organization, which is, well, we have to say that's really the best and only example is the military. And here's how we could look at it. We look at authority in a line and staff. Staff responsibility, of course, remember, is about advising and helping and supporting. So the HR manager is going to work with the manager of production to find out what they need, and they're going to communicate back and forth. And the HR manager is going to find out what sort of skills are needed to maintain the company's quality and all of that sort of thing. You can see the solid lines are the line authority. So top managers have these two managers here, or these three in particular, reporting to them. The quality officer is a lower level position than the manager of quality, so reporting this way and so forth. So we have both line and staff authority, line and staff support. We can also have matrix style organizations. This is where we really have something complex going on. These are companies that make a lot of projects, so they're constantly involved in research and development projects of all types, looking for new variations or features for existing products, or trying to come up with new processes and so forth. They're very busy organizations. They're generally very large. And what they do is they have all these projects going on. So they pull different workers from all sorts of different departments together so that they'll have a variety of skills and talent to draw on. And they work together on a project for a certain length of time, and then they go back to their regular job. So it doesn't violate unity of command, where you report to one and only boss, because you're on temporary assignment. Your original boss would still maintain your paperwork. They would have you on the schedule listed as some certain classification as on assignment or so forth, but they would still be the one that would make sure you got paid and all of that sort of stuff. These are companies that are really into innovation and creativity. They're always looking for that entrepreneurial spirit and so forth. And they really, the hallmark of this is teamwork. Here's a look at a very simple one. These can get quite complicated with a lot more than just 3 projects as we see here. Generally, we would see the activities of a matrix organization laid out in a very complex spreadsheet. You could have numerous projects and scheduling. You could use variations of the Gantt chart where you can show when something starts and a particular process ends. When does the next one begin? Does it have to wait for this one? Is it sequential? Or does this one get halfway done and then does this project on the next line begin halfway through? And as you can see here, this is what I've mentioned, that they pull people for the various projects from the different departments. So we have people from production and finance and marketing and R&D all going and working out in various ways into these projects. And so there'll be groups that will handle the specialties that need to be figured out maybe for any given project. There are upsides and downsides certainly to the matrix organization. Um, you have a lot of flexibility using your people. You certainly are getting the most out of your employees when you can move them around and use them in many different ways. And what is really good about this sort of a process is it does give career and professional development to people. They get to learn new skills and so forth. That's a big advantage. Generally, morale is pretty good because people get bonuses or some reward of some type for finishing a project that's successful and learning a new skill or whatever it is. So the emphasis in a company like this is all about cooperating and working together in teams, knowing that your role is to move around occasionally and be used for your talents and expertise in many different areas. Um, Always constantly looking for creativity, innovation, stressing entrepreneurship and so forth, thinking conceptually and out of the box, and always having an open mind. Using your resources efficiently, you certainly are if you are utilizing your people, if nothing else, to their fullest advantage by putting them on various projects and so forth, and you're advancing the interests of the company all the time with successful projects that create new products or enhance products and create new markets for them. There's a downside. I've been talking a lot and used the word complex quite a bit of times, and that's true. And the more complex you get, the more dynamic the environment, sometimes it does cost more. Um, you can have the situation where employees might be confused where their loyalty begins and so forth and belongs. But I think really that's a managerial sort of problem that shouldn't exist. You can overcome that disadvantage with good managerial talent. Um, you just have to explain people why you're moving around. They shouldn't be in your company in the first place unless they're a good fit. And that would be, they know up front that we're a matrix organization. We use projects. You will be moved around. You'll get the opportunity to learn new skills and to grow and so forth. So you can overcome that, and that should not be a disadvantage. You're not doing something right if this starts to pop up. But it obviously is one of those things you have to mention that could be the downside. Now over here, you certainly need people who are flexible, open-minded, somewhat agreeable, so they can work together, that they have some interpersonal skills. And so people need to be cooperative and have a certain type of mindset. This would speak to your HR department really having to be on board and understanding the environment you're in so that they can absolutely get you the very best people that make a fit for the company. We don't need turnover, right? Turnover is very expensive. Um, Sometimes you get working on these projects and maybe you're so enamored with projects themselves that they're not really driving new business or creating new markets and all of that. You might be just solving some problems that you have, but you're not really solving the problems. You're dealing with the here and now by making adjustments. So this is certainly higher level strategic thinking, and it is a downside because the matrix organization, because it's so dynamic, because many things are going on, top leadership in particular needs to keep sight of what the goals are and make sure they're heading in all the many different ways in the right area and staying on the right page. And so, of course, that is a challenge. That's a big challenge. And then finally, the fourth one I'd like to talk about, the type of way we could organize, is using cross-functional and self-managed teams. Groups of employees from different departments work together on a long-term basis. A lot of times, these are standing committees that work together to accomplish various tasks. The committee is assigned a certain area of responsibility, and people rotate through them and fulfill maybe service to organization in different ways, and you work together on these sorts of things. The greatest example of this is Westminster College. Um, we're full of cross-functional and self-managed teams. We pretty much get together on committees, staff sometimes as well, and faculty, and we handle the business of the campus. If a new course is offered and it needs permission to get accepted to be offered in any given semester, there's a process. If you've offered the course a couple times and then there was enough interest and it makes sense, you could submit some more paperwork to that committee, and they'll talk about it and approve it or not. And all of a sudden you get assigned a number and we've got a new course for the department. So we do that in all sorts of areas and all sorts of industries and all sorts of businesses really depend on these self-directed, self-managed teams. They're given a charge, which is this is what you're supposed to do, the idea, the objective, and then you either have an appointed chair or you elect a chair and you decide where to begin and you get the work of your organization done. Okay, folks, that's what I wanted to talk about this time. I'll talk to you again soon.